Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up with Chris, Jake, and Sam. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake.
So, anything new, gentlemen? At all over the past week? Got anything for me?
No.
Thanks, Jake.
Pointless podcast.
Well, I did something fun. The other day I was pretty bored, and I was editing on my computer, and decided to throw on something in the background. And what I ended up doing was I marathoned all 5 theatrical Superman movies that I own.
Which are?
I went through all 4 of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh one.
What do you think of Superman Returns?
Well, so
I feel that's a very divisive one.
Yeah. Well, my opinion of it has always been mired. Is that the word? Marred?
Mired is if it's stuck in something. Marred is if it's like marked with something.
Marred, then. Thanks. Good word usage, Chris. It's always been marred because when I went and saw it in theaters, like opening day, I drove all the way down to Newport News, Virginia,
where I went to college.
I think it was Newport News. Maybe Virginia Beach, that ish area.
Right.
Southeast Virginia.
Right.
Where they have a planetarium.
Yeah, it's
that has an
over
IMAX projector
in Hampton Roads, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I tried to see The Dark Knight there.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to see the I Am Legend midnight show so I could see The Dark Knight Bank Heist on IMAX.
Right.
And it had sold out. Everyone
Right.
really wanted to sit through wanted to buy a ticket for a lesser Will Smith film to watch like the first 5 minutes of The Dark Knight.
I mean, it was worth it. So I drove all the way down there to see it. I was like, sweet, IMAX screen. It's like the only IMAX theater in Virginia that's showing Superman Returns. I was super hyped. Had no idea that it was a dome that I was seeing it in. It is quite literally one of the worst places that I've ever seen like a movie, because it's super curved. Like IMAX screens, they're so big that they're kind of curved just so your eyeball gets it properly. But this was like planetarium, like globe curved. So in the center of the screen, everything was fine. But as like things moved to either the left or the right side of the screen, they started leaning that way as well. So it just was a terrible, warped way to see a movie. So like I feel like in hindsight, that's really like kind of messed up my view of the movie. Like I've always just kind of been like, oh, fuck Superman Returns, just because it was such a bad viewing. I gotta say, every time I have watched it, it's been less painful than that. But this is only like the second or third time that I've seen it since then. I gotta say, I still like hate the son subplot. Like, I think that's...
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the kid's like 10 or 15, but Superman's only been gone for like 5 years.
Well, even the idea that Superman would leave a kid behind, kind of it doesn't.
Well, I mean, he didn't know about it.
But that's the point. Like, how does he not know about a kid who's
Yeah.
obviously older than 5 years old?
True. It's the Damian Wayne problem in that regard. And then,
though they do explain Damian Wayne's age.
Also, I don't like movies that half-ass. We are part of that universe, but we're not. So it's
right?
like they never, like with Prometheus and with this movie, and I'm sure there's obviously other movies. They never give like a full-on. Oh, it's an homage to the Richard Donner one.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that. Like, either go full on and say this is a sequel to Superman 2.
Be a straight-up sequel or be your own
but
thing.
But
right?
you can't have like what does it mean to have an it's like, oh, we have the essence of it. It's like, okay, you have the score, and is it supposed to be the same Superman? Because if it is, that's stupid. Because the end of Superman 2, he's like, I'm sorry I left. I won't be like doing
Mr.
that
President,
again.
I won't let you down.
Yeah, and then he leaves for 5 years.
He
like,
leaves and lets him down worse.
Yeah. Lets Lex Luthor off by not being there to show up on
at his court date.
And so, and like he's searching for Krypton, like evidence of Krypton, evidence of nothing.
Yeah, I mean they explain that away in Superman 3.
So I mean, like, granted, they pretend like Superman 3 and 4 doesn't
movie.
exist, but like
Superman 3 is my least favorite.
It is
Superman
the
film.
every
worst.
time I go in to watch Superman Returns, I go in with this like feeling like this is the time I'm gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
And And then I don't like I don't hate the movie. There's plenty of other superhero movies I don't like compared to Superman Returns. The main reason I own Superman Returns is the double disc special edition comes with the documentary, like a 3-hour documentary about the making of the movie.
The one narrated by Kevin Spacey?
Yes. And or sure, as Chris would say. And
because you know that it's narrated by Kevin Spacey, so you wouldn't.
Well, that's true.
Sure has specific use.
My version of Chris's sure is more of like who cares is what it means when I hear it. And so
it's sure, fuck you.
Yes, sure, fuck you. I don't care. Why are you interrupting me? That's all that happens when you say
but
sure.
But clearly you don't care enough to even say all of that, so you just say sure.
Yes, that being said, thank you for letting me know that Kevin Spacey did this narration. I forgot or remembered. I don't care. Anyway, sure. I will say I love Bryan Singer's like joy and like excitement for making the movie. Like you can't fault the guy for like being excited to make the Superman movie, and I love seeing like how excited he is for each process of the movie. That being said, like, you know, everyone always says this is the movie that he wanted to make as a Superman movie, and it's like, well, yeah, he made the movie he wanted to make, but there's just so much like stuff that is so unimportant in the movie, and it's a movie that's very hard for me to ever sit down and watch all the way through from beginning to end. I always call it a chapter select movie where like there are scenes in this movie that I love.
It doesn't have to be as long as it is. Yeah,
exactly. I can watch this movie over and over again. Like certain scenes, like as much as I don't like the idea of him having a son, or not even that, it's the way it's played off. I do love when he gives the speech to his son at the end of the movie. I do love, of course, the airplane sequence. That's the first time in up to that point where we got to see the full power of Superman, like, you know, on screen.
He straight up lifts like an island of kryptonite,
full of kryptonite,
into the
which has always bothered me.
Which
that,
he
like,
still
he's
has
being affected by kryptonite, and yet he's able to pull that island into orbit.
Well, the kryptonite's still in him. He still has a sliver of kryptonite in him.
In his back.
So, but that's one of those things. Kryptonite works when they want it to work.
No, actually, no.
They pull out more at the hospital.
That's right. Yeah, it's pulled out. I was about to say no. Lois and James Marsden.
Cyclops. So one thing I want to point out to be pro Superman Returns, and this always bugs me, is the people who really hate Superman Returns when they're like, Superman doesn't throw a punch in that movie. That movie's shit. And these people who love the Superman the movie, he doesn't throw a punch in Superman the movie.
Yeah.
So that argument's bullshit. I think Brandon Routh is great. Again,
I love Brandon Routh.
The problem with Brandon Routh is like if they're going for the Christopher Reeve, not Christopher Reeve, because they don't make up their mind, he doesn't. He can't. He never was given that full reign to make his own, which is a huge bummer, because that's the joy of playing a superhero. So, is he constrained to be a Christopher Reeve Superman, or is he not? I don't like Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor. But then, to be fair, I don't like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I'll take Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor over Gene
I will,
Hackman.
yeah.
As would I.
Yeah, as I would. As I would. As I would as,
as
well.
You would.
As I, yeah. But
I still take that as well.
I know. I still don't like it, though. Or like his performance. And then we get what's-his-face in Detroit Rock City as Jimmy Olsen. I think he's a great Jimmy Olsen.
Sam Huntington? Yeah, he's a good Jimmy Olsen.
Really good Jimmy Olsen. We get to see him save Metropolis and do some cool stuff.
He goes out of his way to stop the collateral damage, unlike Man of Steel.
Yeah.
He's like straight up turning like.
But to be fair, he's like not like the shit that's going on in Metropolis isn't like singling him out and fighting him.
And also to be fair, in Man of Steel, Pa Kent instills that don't save other people, hide your secret mentality into him, so he doesn't care about saving people. Which has always been my problem with Man of Steel.
Well, no,
I don't think
it's as much as it is. And I remember the day the trailer came out, Sam and I were talking on Facebook, and we had the same exact thing where we were nervous about the one line, is where he says
one word.
Yeah,
one word.
And
he's like, "Are you saying I should have let those?" Like Clark asks him, he's like, "Are you saying I should have let that bus of school children die to save my secret?" And Kevin Costner is straight up like, "Maybe."
Yeah,
it's just
we both were like, "Maybe."
I was like, "What?"
But here's the thing,
that's
though.
my big problem
Here's
with
the
Man of
thing.
Steel. Otherwise, I think Man of Steel is an all right movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish they had not screwed up his motivation.
What they tried to get
moral compass.
What they tried to get.
Why would he become a superhero? Sorry for continuously cutting you off, but why would he choose to become a superhero if all he's ever had instilled in him is keep your secret, don't help other people, fuck off.
I got, and what I think they failed to really get a point across in that point was, this is a guy who's a parent, not only a first-time parent for a kid, but a first-time parent for the strongest thing on the planet, and he doesn't know how to react to any of this. You know what I mean? Now, some people would argue, well, Pa Kent is the absolute moral compass and the nature versus nurture to Jor-El, and he should know all this. I think that what I would think they were trying to go with the maybe line is, this is a guy who doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say, but he does tell them when the time is right. Either you will be this thing that is great, or you'll be this. You have this option, which is always what's been great about Superman, having the option to use powers
you die
for
the
good
hero,
or
live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That being said, it's really Russell Crowe that kind of instills more of the moral stuff than Pa Kent does in that film, which always kind of bothered me. He's like, "Oh, you can save them, Cal." It's like, "Fuck you, no, he can't."
Yeah, the most misguided line in the entire thing is like. The best, and again, I want to say spoilers before this because I don't want to spoil Smallville for anybody because nobody did for me, and I love that show.
It is,
but I think it's the second to last episode of the series. As a wedding present, Jor-El gives basically Lois Lane she granted the power of Superman for a day, and there's a scene where they're sitting, I think outside. It's been a while since I've seen it. They're sitting outside of a cafe. And Lois Lane starts crying because she's constantly hearing the pain and suffering of everybody. And she asks Clark, how do you do it? And he's basically like, I have to choose. And it's not about, I can save everyone. And anyone who thinks about Superman, the idea of in his mind, somewhere maybe in the back of his mind he could say it, but he can't actually think that because he can't do it. Even Superman can't save everybody. Which, bringing back to Superman Returns, one of the best moments of that movie is when he's floating in the earth, above the earth, and he's listening.
Yeah.
And he's listening to...
that was a great visual.
Listening to the prayer. He listens to the prayers and the people crying out, and then he has to choose.
They're not subtle with the Jesus analog in that.
Which is funny because he's actually a Moses analog.
Yeah, well, I mean, he straight up takes the Christ pose after he pushes the kryptonite island into space.
And then he hits the Christ pose. When you can save them, you can save everyone in Man of Steel, too, Yeah. But the thing is, there's a part of that where he's like, I hear the prayers and the crying out, which... of course, is the Jesus metaphor, but I like the idea where it's I am the guy who hears all that. He's not, maybe, I don't think, at that point he's like, I'm Jesus, I'm God, but it's I'm the guy who hears everybody's prayers constantly and has to choose. Got to choose. Yeah. But,
So I watched all of the movies recently.
But so where do you stand on the Superman Returns is honest to God, my favorite Superman film. Okay, let me go. Superman, and I'll just talk about fucking all of them. The Superman and the Mole Men is, if you've never seen that, it was basically a backdoor pilot for The Adventures of Superman starring George Reeves. Yeah, I know you like the backdoor. So you can't see it. That wasn't completely just me just saying that out of nowhere. But they'll
never know.
Yeah,
they probably don't believe me. Yeah, so it's really just a glorified episode of Adventures of Superman, which is fine because I like Adventures of Superman. Superman the movie.
Is it live action? I've always.
Oh yeah.
I always thought, for some reason, that it was one of those Max Fleischer.
Oh no,
cartoons.
those cartoons are great too, though.
I have a bunch of those on DVD.
The Max Fleischer for me is the best Superman thing ever.
Yeah. Where it's Superman and the giant robots and stuff. But the Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve. I love Christopher Reeve, and I love the Smallville sequences. But first off, why the hell is the movie starts and it's a little kid's play story?
Yeah, I've always hated that opening.
Well, it's the whole...
just like the opening for the Turtles movie, where it's just hey, look, it's a comic book.
But that means are all four
it's
movies?
It's like Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yes, or Mario Party 2. Been playing a lot of Mario Party lately. Really, just a lot of Mario. Period. But the
and Shaq Fu.
I wish I could say I was unbeatable at that game, but I was bested last night. Anyway, so I'm no longer the king of Shaq Fu. The Superman the movie, I can't do Gene Hackman. I can't do Ned Beatty as Otis, and that's
why Superman 2 is better than Superman.
Yo,
the movie.
totally.
like I said, up until when he saves Lois, and then he has this little like montage of saving people and like stopping criminals. For me, I think it's like not perfect, but as close as I can get to a perfect Superman movie. After that, when you start bringing on the Lex Luthor stuff, all that stuff, it's just who cares?
From the first moment you see Luthor in that film, it really starts to go downhill.
Yeah.
It's like two different movies, tonally speaking.
Yeah. My big thing about Superman 2 is like I don't like when Superman and Lois Lane are an item.
I hate the Superman falls in love, it gets rid of his powers subplot. Like Superman 2. The Donner cut is like for as far as I can tell in the future in perpetuity will be my favorite Superman movie, but that has got to be one of the worst subplots ever in at least in a Superman movie.
I mean, it's really Superman dealing with it's the Spider-Man 2 arc, right? It's the same as Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, like how can I be Superman and Clark Kent at the same time?
Whereas in Spider-Man 2, his like subconscious suppresses his powers because he can't fulfill that. Superman 2, he makes the conscious decision to step in the like that chamber and
which is dumb. And then and then like he gets rid of his powers and like it's a big thing. You know, Jor-El's like, this is irreversible. Nothing's ever going to bring you your powers back. 10 minutes later, I shit you not, I'm pretty sure it's literally like 10 minutes, he's like, never mind, I need my powers again. And Jor-El's like, okay, but then you're not going to be able to use the fortress anymore. And then at the end of the movie, they're back at the fortress. Oh, hey, you can use the fortress again.
Well, it isn't so much the fortress. It's like, if you do this is like all of the power in the console. You can never talk to me like projections of me or your mother ever again.
I just felt like it was a low stakes thing. Like, okay, yeah, he can't talk to his parents anymore. Like that's probably a big deal. But like, he made a huge thing out of like it's irreversible. Oh wait, it's not irreversible.
Yeah, he should have been straight up like, oh, you can do this, but this is the price, instead of like straight up never.
Yeah,
only once.
Yeah.
All it takes is Clark Kent getting out to
then... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, he just steps out, goes to a diner, gets his ass kicked, and sees that Zod's out, and he's like, oh, I really fucked that one up.
Yeah, and that's another problem. Like, the diner fight, like, the first scene where there's the diner fight, I'm like, well, he seems pretty aggressive for Superman. Like, even without it, like with or without his powers, that is way too aggressive to be him. And like, he's like, oh no, I don't have powers, I can actually get hurt. Wait a second, let me get up in this guy's face a second time and get my ass handed to me again.
I'll give it to you that he's too. Well, finish your thought.
And then at the end of the movie, he goes back in both the Richard Donner and the Richard Lester.
Yes.
Version. Like both of them have a scene where he goes back, which is really weird in the Donner cut because you just watched him spin the world backwards again.
Though there is a plot inconsistency when he goes back to the diner. They say, "Come on, Rocco, we just fixed this place back up."
I was about to bring that up. Like, that was why I was pointing out that he just went back in time. Like, all these people in the diner remember him being there earlier and getting his ass handed to him, and now he's like, "Oh, I've been working out."
Yeah,
and
it's
like Hill is Superman.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I will give you that.
I write Daily Planet and Daily Planet accessories. I tell you what.
I will say I kind of agree with you almost in the sense that he's too aggressive initially. On the other hand, if there's one thing Superman can't stand, it's a bully. And even if he gets hurt, that's not going to make him back down.
But
True.
Isn't him going back there being a
but
bully?
But he's being a bully.
That's like him being a bully.
Like that was like I was kind of alluding to. Like, the first scene, okay, I'll accept it. I'll let it go. But the second time he comes back, regardless of which movie whether there's time travel or not involved, like, he's being a dick. He's being Superman 3, I've been poisoned with kryptonite tar, asshole level of going back to kick this guy's ass. Well, spin him around, but still.
Spin him around and let him break his hand on his chest or whatever.
Yeah. Doomsday style.
Yeah. But for me, I always like the scene where he sees himself bleeding for the first time. He's just like, he's never seen that before.
What?
Yeah, my blood. He's
my blood's red.
Yeah.
I'm not Vulcan.
Yeah. Curses. Superman 2, I would say the Donner cut is my favorite of the Christopher Reeve Superman films.
Definitely.
Probably my second or third overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Lester cut. I have trouble now that I've seen the Donner cut.
Yeah.
I have trouble sitting through the Lester cut.
It is tough. Even with like various inconsistencies, just because the Donner cut was never finished, quote unquote, never finished. So like the big scene, the reveal that Superman or Clark Kent is Superman. That's like test footage, and you can tell. Like you're kind of like, this is rough. Like they're looking into a mirror, but not really. They're really just looking into the camera. Their hotel room looks nothing like the room that they showed earlier.
It looks like it's basically like almost like a stage play.
Yeah,
with Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder.
I want to say it almost it has its majority one angle, and then a couple times it like cuts over to Christopher Reeve, so you can see like his one shot. But for the most part, it is a two shot. Just looking at Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve, and they're like acting like soap opera style, where they're both kind of facing the camera instead of facing each other, because she's busy distracted by doing her makeup or whatever.
I never did like though that. So her methodology there is that she shoots Superman with blanks. Superman 1 can't feel a bullet bounce off his fucking chest. 2, he can't use his X-ray vision to see that the gun is loaded with blanks.
Right. Like, you'd think that Superman would at least check. And actually, it was a revolver. You can check. You can see that the next chamber is empty without, like, you and I, theoretically, if we weren't panicking because someone's drawn a gun on us, you and I could tell that the next chamber is empty. We don't need superpowers. He also has like. He is fast enough that he would be able to see the bullet coming at him. But I will say, still cooler as an audience member than, oops, I tripped into a fire. Oh, I didn't get burned. Let me hide the non-burn from Lois.
For me, I think the worst thing in the Lester cut, so when Zod and his trio are basically like shitting all over Metropolis, and everyone thinks Superman's dead and decide to charge Zod because that's, the greatest idea in the world.
Right. Which is also in the Donner cut.
It is. They blow everybody away, and there's this really weird slapstick sequence where so everyone's getting blown back, and you see this guy leave a KFC, and he gets blown away like slapstick, like Three Stooges style, and this lady comes out to like give him. She's like, oh, you forgot your change, and she gets blown away too.
Isn't there someone like pouring like ketchup on a hot dog, and like the ketchup starts flying away or something like that too?
Yeah, there's a dude that's like eating ice cream and it gets blown into his face. And
yeah,
it's just like, it's like undercutting. It's like you're using nothing but visual gags. Which
it was like the addition of Jar Jar Binks to the Phantom Menace.
What it's really like is like the title sequence to the next film.
Right? Oh
Superman
my God!
3.
Oh.
The most bizarre title sequence probably in any comic book.
Some of the hardest to read titles too. Like beyond just like the stupid visuals that are going along with it. Those titles are really hard to read, and they blur out half the shot just so you can like be like it blurs like the bottom half of the screen, and that's where the titles come in. But like they take up so much of the screen, and they have that cool like 3D effect to them that was cool in the first one where it was like flying around,
zooming right at you.
Yeah, but this one is just like kind of like scrolling back in like a Star Wars-esque style. But but like as soon as it's like clear enough that you can actually read it, that's when it cuts away, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess Christopher Reeve is in this movie.
When I first saw that movie as a kid, I didn't know it was a Superman movie up until like he saves the people from like drowning in the car or whatever. Like I was like, what the fuck is this? It just
and then there's that shot where Superman stops the pie from hitting the girl in the face and does this like 360 and smacks another dude in the face, like literally just being like, whoop. Three Stooges.
Yeah, it's like it's a big like slapstick sequence. Superman 3 can suck my nuts. Like
it's the worst, and it's nightmare inducing. Like I am almost 30 years old. I am a grown ass man. I've been watching that movie since I was probably like maybe probably less than 10. Like I've been watching it most of my life. I still can't watch that scene where the lady gets sucked into the machine. Like I found myself like I was distracted by Superman the movie and Superman 2. Like I wasn't really I was barely doing any of my work that I was doing while I was watching those movies. Superman 3 comes along. I got a lot of work done because like I was not watching it. And then like specifically that final scene where she gets sucked into the giant computer, I was like not even looking at the screen.
It's Jake, you've been pretty quiet about this. What are your thoughts on Superman 2 and 3?
Well, Superman 3 I've only seen once, and it was like a long time ago. And I just remember the same kind of thing. Like this, what the fuck is this? Like maybe subconsciously that was like what had me stop like caring or reading about comic books for a while, because I was just like
George Lester, Richard Lester, you ruined my love of comics.
This is what Superman is now. Like no,
it's more of a. It's honestly, it's more of a
Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah.
God, don't even get me started on Richard Pryor's character.
But I mean,
it is terrible.
I like Superman. I mean, I like the beginning of Superman 2. But yeah, I don't like Lois and Clark as an item. I don't care. I like the duality of like, and that's why like in the end with like as dumb as it is with the memory wiping kiss, I love Christopher Reeve's performance in that. Because he goes from, of course he's playing not Superman, but he's being normal Clark, which is very much like Superman, but not as like over the top.
Not like showboaty.
Like, with, and then, he kisses her, and then he kind of, as she falls back into just not remembering anything that's happened, he falls back into like bumbling Clark. And so much of my, like, from the first movie, which I would say is my favorite of the Donner movies, is Superman the movie. My favorite moment isn't even a Superman moment. It's when they pull the gun on Lois and Clark, and he's like, give me your purse. And he's like, oh, I listened to him, Lois. And then she goes to give it to him like kind of like half-assed.
Yeah.
And she drops it, and he's like, oh, Lois, what are you doing? Like his voice gets like super high pitched. And then
it's probably one of the best Lois and Clark scenes.
She shoots, he shoots the gun, and you see slow-mo him grab the bullet and like pretend to pass out. And she's like, Clark, thinking like he's dead. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have passed out. And she's like, oh, Clark, and gets up and leaves. And he opens his hand. You see the bullet in his hand, and he looks down and almost looks at the camera.
Yeah.
And he throws the bullet away just as the Superman theme plays really quietly. And I was like, that's fucking badass.
No, that was like the
that's
perfect
fucking
scene.
amazing.
Yeah.
I
don't think your life is worth, whatever.
Oh yeah, whatever.
And a lipstick.
Yeah. Lucky guess. But
although I've always hated the way Margot Kidder like delivers that. You just described the exact contents of my purse line.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
But
even as a kid, I was like, ugh.
I still get like all like
Who says that?
Lump in the throat moment when he becomes like Superman for the first time.
Yeah.
Where
he just has that magical change into it in the.
Well, when
fortress.
the first thing he does is he runs to the telephone booth, and it's not a telephone booth, and he looks down like what, and he kind of looks up like like very like robot like,
yeah,
and then which probably got a smattering of applause from people because they remember that, and then he runs in and spins around the thing. Yeah. Yo, Jim, that is a bad outfit. He's like, excuse me, and like he flies up, but you also see him rip the shirt open before he goes.
First person to see Superman in action in Superman the movie is a pimp.
Yeah. That is a bad outfit. Excuse me.
Damn.
But yeah, and then he flies up and he got her, and like all that for me is like perfect Superman stuff. Like that's classic. That's up there with Fleischer as like the most like classic representation of Superman. And like we were saying,
you've got me, but who's got you?
And then of course they fucking do the same line. Statistically, flying is still the safest form of traveling. I hope this hasn't put you off flying. Statistically, it's still the safest form of travel. Like, and then of course in the Superman Returns, the first line he says to everyone again is the exact same line. But it's like, okay, all right, whatever.
He also references that in I think Superman 3. He does a I hope It's like he the subway messes up or something like that, and he's like, I hope this doesn't turn anyone off subway travel. It's still very safe for public transportation or something.
Yeah.
I want to say it's in Superman 3.
Like,
but I'm
don't
not
say
sure.
that to someone who almost just died doing that. Like, that doesn't, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me. But, like, I mean, it's a great little throwaway line once in a Superman movie. It is a great line once.
Yeah.
Not rehashed and then said the same exact thing as you see Lois 5 years later that dropped that line. Like,
well, he doesn't drop.
Well,
it. He drops it to the entire press. In
I know,
Superman
but like
Returns.
he's looking
in
at
Superman
her.
in Superman Returns, it's only the Daily Planet though, because
No,
he says
the
it in the
entire-
plane. He says it in the plane, and the Daily Planet is the only.
Are they the exclusive?
Yeah, because Lois actually asks, she's like, so if this is such a monumental thing, why is there only one news company here?
Yeah,
I don't know why
Then who
Lois
the fuck
sounds
else
like
are in
that.
that plane?
I don't know.
And also that one guy is like looking at her while she's stuck on the ceiling, and she's like, "Help me!" And he's like, "I got my seatbelt on when I was supposed to, bitch."
Yeah. She totally should die like
Oh, she's-
5
yeah.
times. Like
I do-
the door like lands on her head and like should totally kill her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just like rip on Superman Returns. I just like, okay, it's like, okay, yes, it's a funny line nod to get, like, we don't need another nod to
And
the Christopher Reeve movie in a movie that's like riding the coattails of Christopher Reeve, you know. So, but I do the line where she's like, you know, should have been dead 5 times over, stuck on the ceiling of the thing, and she looks out the window and she sees the boots.
Yeah.
And everything's
Land on the
okay.
wing. Yeah.
And again, going back to what my favorite Superman movie is, like, not jokingly, but like it's not really a movie, is the 2-part finale of Smallville, when he puts the suit on for the first time. And like, again, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but he becomes Superman in the last episode
What?
of Smallville.
Clark Kent is Superman?
Originally, no tights, no flights.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
and that's I think one of the reasons Tom Welling did it, because he didn't want to do that. But the line that Jonathan Kent drops is "Remember Smallville," which to me, like, floored me when I saw it. Like, that summed up everything.
When he hands him the costume.
He hands him the costume. He turns around. His dad is there in the fortress, and he goes, "Remember Smallville?" And he flies up, and you see him put the suit on. And I was going, "Holy shit!" Because I thought the series would just end with him ripping his shirt open. Like, that would have been enough for me.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh, he's actually in the suit." And then I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it. But then Lois is on Air Force One, and the plane is crashing, and she's not flying all over the place, but the plane's going down. And the same kind of scene. The plane starts to level out. She looks out the window, and everyone close to Clark for like 2 seasons has been basically saying, not like, we know you're going to be Superman, but accept this, become the symbol of hope, and save people. Like, this is what you should be doing. And he's always like really kind of resistant to it. Not that he doesn't want to save people, but he's not fully embracing it.
Yeah, well, I think a big thing was like he never wanted to be like the symbol of hope.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's
Yeah,
just a blur. The red blue blur.
the red blue blur. Yes.
It's the blur of hope.
Yeah. And so, and he's like wearing all
What is this, a
black.
Flash
But like,
show?
there's the great moment is when like Lois is looking out the window to see what's leveled him out, and she sees him in the suit for the first time. And you never see him fully in the suit, but you see the red cape blowing behind him, and he looks up at her, and they look down, and they share this moment where like she sees everything that she's ever believed in, that he's accepted it. And it's not this big scene where like, and I love the plane scene in Superman Returns, and also it's a budget for his TV show, but there's no like, wings blowing off and explosions everywhere. He just catches it, puts it back on course, and then the great line also is when he flies over and pushes a planet out of orbit. Oliver Queen looks up and he sees Superman flying over top of him. He's like, go get him, Clark. Again, like that little moment between the two of them. I don't remember where I was going. Oh, it's just basically, it's my favorite Superman movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's out of every live action Superman thing ever, the end of Smallville for me captured exactly what Superman was all about. Like, everything about it. So much so that when we finished it, my sister and I watched the entire series together. I was like, all right, we're watching Superman the movie now. Because like it ends with the, like it ends with the credits that began the Superman movie.
Nice.
And funny enough about Superman 2 real quick, it was on TV and it was just the Richard Lester version. And my sister had never seen it. And I was surprised that she wanted to like watch it. And we didn't start it from the beginning. It was like the scene where, is care to step outside, General? That whole stuff, which I think
it's like halfway or more than halfway.
Wait,
through.
it's such a fucking badass line. Like,
Yeah.
that's so like so passively aggressively, politely badass is basically how that line goes.
Basically, how Superman. should
Exactly.
be.
Yeah, he's not like, hey, fuck you, dickhead, I'm gonna kick your ass. He's like, care to step outside, and he calls him General. It's everyone else would just be like, they wouldn't even say anything, just punch him in the face. But and I'm like, hey, Denise, he's gonna throw his S on one of the people, and it's going to catch him for a moment, and then he's going to fall. And she was like, okay. And then it happened, and she looked at me, and she goes, that's exactly what you said happened. Like, that's
and
a
then
thing
it just
in a...
disintegrates.
She goes, that's a thing in a movie? And I was like, Well, yes,
Unfortunately.
that's Superman 2. Like that's a real thing that happens. But and then I seriously, there's so much.
Still better than the fight against Nuclear Man and Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Yeah, let's move on to Superman 4 because Superman 3, whatever.
Which Nuclear Man?
Well, the one that was in the theatrical version.
As I just found out that there actually was another Nuclear Man in Superman 4, and I don't. You guys have no idea how I was like, what? And like kind of got excited, even though like I watched
Dick
exactly. It was the same kind of thing. I was like, another Nuclear Man. Like I was like, I recognize that it's a dumb thing. But like I looked it up, I found the deleted scene. I watched it online. I don't know if it's on the DVD or not, but I found it online and I watched it, and I was like, "This is terrible." I am so glad it got taken out of the movie because it probably like as much as people shit on Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, thank God that was taken out because it would have been such a worse movie.
The entire idea, the Bizarro Nuclear Man.
He was basically like, he looked like his costume had been inspired by like Sid Vicious, but Sid Vicious meets like a slapstick clown, written by Frank Miller, but without any dialogue. So like picture like the gangsters in like RoboCop 3 at the beginning, that are.
We're going to talk about a great sequel.
I like RoboCop 3.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
If for anything, those punks at the beginning of the movie. But anyway, so I don't actually like RoboCop 3.
It's too late. You've said it.
I know.
I can record.
Just like Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh man, greatest of the Mad Max movies.
It's funny. That's one of those movies where either people think it honestly is, or they think it's the worst. There's no like, I'd put that second. It's like you love it or you hate it.
I don't understand why anyone would unironically love it.
One of my roommates from college, like, that's his favorite Mad Max
Again,
film.
I will say this. Every fucking review of that movie, they're like, the fight against Master Blaster is pretty amazing stuff, right? Like, really changed, like, it's really cool cinema stuff. No one mentions anything else about that movie. It's like they watched it up until that point and they turned it off, and that's like 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody it's like...
And then he saves a bunch of kids.
The movie wasn't even... That movie started off not as a Mad Max sequel.
Yeah.
So they were like, literally, a guy was like, the people like sitting around, the producers or wherever the fucking board meeting they had for it. A guy in the back just goes, "Hey, let's put Mad Max in it." And they're like, "Okay." And that's people's favorite Mad Max movie.
Ugh.
Somehow, I mean, there's got to be people out there, just statistically speaking, there's got to be people out there that think Superman 3 is the best Superman movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure there probably is.
I'm sure they all died out with Richard Pryor. Oh, that was a mean joke.
He's been dead for years. I mean, to be fair.
So, God. But it was such a bad movie.
Yeah. I mean, I've only seen that in the third and the fourth one once. Yeah. Just that's it. Ow, that's it. Like, you don't need to
clearly, they are the two weakest of the Christopher Reeve movies. They're the they're both the Peter.
So
Chris.
Bad. They're the Peter Chris.
Yeah.
If we had to go with the original Donner 4, which members of Kiss they were? When we're talking about Superman the movie, I think we're all talking about the one that has like the gauntlet scene.
Yeah, no, the 2000 cut, the quote unquote Donner cut,
and Lois Lane being on the train that sees Superman running across it.
She's in the train in both cuts. It's just
they don't say, they say Lois Lane. They make it a point to let you know it's Lois Lane in the 2000.
Yeah, fair enough.
If we're going by the solo albums, then I would put. Well, no, you know what? People like the Donner 2 cut seems to be the favorite out of the four.
Yeah.
So I will say the Donner 2 cut is Ace Frehley's solo album. Superman the movie is Gene Simmons' solo album.
Mm-hmm.
Superman 4 is Paul Stanley, and Superman 3 is Peter Criss.
I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'd go with that. If you can't tell that me and Jake have been listening to a lot of Kiss lately.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's my fault because Sam lives with me, so he's gonna be having to listen to a lot of
That was that
Kiss.
night that we were all hanging out that you ended up like giving a Kiss lesson. And that was great.
There was also
I had never known so much about Kiss, and that was like really my first exposure to Eric Carr.
earlier that
and
night.
He's great.
Yeah, he is.
I finally introduced these two guys to Five Nights at Freddy's after talking about it at the last episode.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to attach the videos like to this podcast.
Well, I
fine,
uploaded them to YouTube, and I was just gonna like attach links that
Yeah,
correspond
yeah.
with the release of this.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So like, just check our Twitter or Facebook page, and hopefully I remember to post.
Honestly, it's just me losing my shit.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
Sam takes Five Nights at Freddy's so seriously.
Yeah.
Like a minute into it, he's already like, "Where's the chicken? Where's the chicken, guys? Guys, do you see the chicken? Where? Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's in the room.
And,
Okay.
like,
where's the fox? Where's the fox? Okay.
Whereas I'm like,
if you never played the game, you just it's insanity happening right
but like,
now.
and I'm playing it. I'm playing like. I feel like I stayed fairly calm during. We have no real video evidence of it, but like
Jake, you were there for.
You did lose it once.
Well, so like while I'm playing it, I don't freak out too much.
You did beat Night 3, if I remember correctly.
Was it night 3 or 4?
No, it was night 3 because the first time I ever played the game was night 4.
The first time I ever played the game was night 3, and I'm doing cool.
Yeah, you survived.
Yeah, I survived. And then we got to night 5, and all of us had to play night 5 at least once. I think John played it twice.
The
and
noble
that was where
John.
and that's where he beat it by technicality, if I remember correctly.
The noblest.
Yeah, because I wasn't challenging him, but I was like, oh, he gets killed pretty early on his first.
Yeah,
attempt
I think he got killed at like 3 or 2 a.m. and you were like, oh, I lasted until 3 a.m.
Mainly because I had the doors closed.
Yeah, and that drained all of your power. Yeah. But yeah, but to go back to me, like because I'm more
sorry,
important.
real quick. The way Sam plays this game is basically like a guy going up to the bat who wants to keep his hitting streak alive and just bunts constantly.
Yeah.
Like that's basically the way Sam does it. Because he'll immediately shut both doors. He'll be like, oh, we'll just see how long it lasts until the batteries run out.
Yeah. But so I'm playing night 3. And I'm doing all right. Then I play night 5 because we were going on like a one night each rotation.
Round robin.
Yeah. I'm playing night 5, and I think I get to about like 2 or 3 a.m. and like the chicken like gets into the room like he kills me. And because it's a fucking jump scare, yeah, it got me. I was like, God, fuck, God. But like the entire rest of the time, like. I'm probably like I want to say it was either me or John that was like the cool as a cucumber, the most cool while playing it. John mostly because like he just is like always just kind of like level, like he doesn't get too excited about really anything.
Though whenever he sees the bunny or chicken in the doorway,
he does. It's like he just jumps like it's hilarious because he is like the most like level-headed dude, and like he'll just be like you can't see what I'm doing, but it's just like this jump. He's like every single time.
Yeah. Can we talk about the first time?
I still
Sam
think my
died?
first death is the best death.
So Sam, the entire level, Sam is like on edge. He's on the edge of his seat. To say the phrase twice.
Someone say the edge of glory.
and
Edge
he's
of
like
tomorrow.
he looks like he's about to like shit his pants the entire level.
Oh, what makes you think I didn't?
Well, the seat wasn't that warm.
You were sweating.
Yeah, both times.
His hair was his hair was wet.
Yeah,
from sweat.
So and you died, right?
Not the first time.
The first time, because I turtled up. As soon as it turned to 5 o'clock, I was like, cool, I have 25% power. I think I can close both doors.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay.
And I just made it.
Yeah. So
4,
yeah. So the time you died, he's sitting there playing like he normally is, like, freaking out, and he dies. But Sam's just kind of like, gah, like has like a metered reaction to it, like it's the same level as what he had been playing, like if anything less so. Like it was underwhelming. if anything. But
they got
Jake
me.
and John.
No one will ever know how funny this was.
I am so sad that I didn't have a camera on Jake and John because both of them were like, God! Like Jake actually was like, oh, fuck, oh, God. And John fucking flipped over.
John flipped over
behind
a chair.
his chair. His legs were kicked
and he
up
kept
in
his
the
beer
air.
up. But
yeah,
like,
no, magically.
Sam's reaction was like like a newborn child being scared. You know, where it's like, like, you know, like a cat, like a kitten being scared.
I mean,
or like
you'll all see this on the video.
Or like the
We're
sneezing
doing a great
panda,
job to plug the video.
or like the sneezing panda thing.
Yeah.
But I go, ah! And like I never like even the scariest movies that I've seen. I've never like if I jump in a movie, I jump. But I literally go. I just like I'll do it again. I went ah! Like, you know, like I made that noise and with my hands in the air, and I was sitting like I called it Saved by the Bell style in the chair, like
like AC Slater,
sitting backwards, and I leaned back like what on the chair. I look over at John, who's like a very tall gentleman.
Yeah.
Backflips off the back of the chair.
It was so good.
It was unreal.
And
You'll
then
hear it. You'll be able to hear it.
the-
You won't see it, though.
In the video, you just hear me going.
That was so good. It was so
it was
funny.
like, yeah, because I thought, I mean, I don't want to say what the jump is that ultimately kills me, but so I'm turtled up, and my common sense is mistaken for cowardice. Because as soon as
Just like the lawyer in Jurassic Park. Shouldn't we get back in the cars?
Doctors, I insist we get back in the cars. The you know, my second death, I don't know, isn't, because you can tell my second death's coming, because I turtle up and
Remember at one point,
Yeah.
Chris like looks over at me while silently like he like whispers something and like laughing at the same time because he's like, you know, you have to go like, you know, like what, 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. or midnight to 6
6,
midnight midnight to 6. So like
1.5 minute and a minute and a half is about an hour.
and so it's like 2 a.m. and Sam's at like 30%, you know, and like Chris thought that was the funniest thing in the world, and Sam was like, "Yo, whatever," you know, and like
I was like, they're both like the bunny and the rabbit are both outside their respective doors. I'm like, if I open these doors for a second, they're gonna get me. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out my way.
Like Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. But how did you? I mean, how is
One of my favorite parts is no, Sam, it's fine. You can open the door. And then you open the door. Ah!
Yeah. But Jake, well, how did your death go?
I mean, the first time that I died was the first, you know, obviously the first time I played it. It fucking goes without saying, but
first death in our run, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, because I beat night 1, John beats night 2, you beat night 3, and then
Yeah.
Jake tries night 4.
And then I remember it was just uneventful, like, oh yeah, I died.
Yeah.
And then Sam's death happened, and we
was
all
just like the chicken just kind of went like,
yeah. I was like, oh, I was just like, oh, yeah. And then Sam's death, and we all like lost our shit. And then the second time I died, I did another God.
Mel Gibson plays Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so what's this? It's a fucking...
shut this door. Shut the door for everybody. That's fine. That's fine. Oh God. Oh God.
It's a fucking bear. Oh, God.
Oh Jesus. God. Oh God.
starting to sound like
I'm not staying another moment on prayer. That's fine.
starting to sound like Nick Cage at the end of Wicker Man.
God,
The bear.
And then
He's in the booth.
Man, yeah.
2 days ago, I saw that fox. You want to get out of here? Shut both doors.
Come with me. But, yeah, I mean, it was good introducing that to you guys to that.
That was fun.
Yeah. I feel like I made you guys more scared than the actual game did.
Well, yeah, because you were like...
Because you were like...
I've
like,
never
the game,
seen someone
the
more
game itself,
nervous.
Yeah, the game itself... Like, I can understand how, like, someone who gets, like, really into it maybe has, like, all the lights cut out and, like, just sitting there, like, would, like, get freaked out by it. But personally, like, me playing it, like, I wasn't really getting that freaked out. Like, I was like, okay, I'll just check the lights every once in a while. Nothing there. Maybe I'll check the camera here. Okay, it's not there. Checking the lights. Oh, hey, there's something there. Door closed. You know, like, it didn't get me The only thing that got me were the fucking jump scares where the thing would jump out in front of you and it's supposed to make you shit your pants. So I would be like, oh, fuck, Like, but for me, Sam, you got sucked in.
Well, yeah.
You were the security guard.
For me, it's like I can tell that it's coming at me. They know where I am.
I can hear him. I can hear him outside the door.
Yeah.
He was knocking.
I can
Guys, he just knocked.
Them coming. Yeah.
That's I heard that.
I also like like you're so serious about it. Like there are 2 cameras that are essentially outside the security booth, and they're not like right at the door, but you treat both of the cameras like on either side, like so a total of 4 cameras I'm talking about here. You treat all 4 of those cameras like they are the doorstep. So like you see like the far camera where you're looking down the hall, and at the other end of the hall there's the chicken. You're like, oh, gotta close the door. He's right there, guys. He's right there. And like John would be like, dude, he's like
2 rooms away.
Yeah, he's like in role playing games or like tabletop games, he's the equivalent of like 2 turns away, and you're like, no, he's right there at the door. You get into this game. Do you ever get your sister to watch those videos?
No, she always just screams, "No, Sam!" and runs away.
I just love watching Sam play the game. It's so
it's so fun,
entertaining.
I think it's more fun than playing the game. Watching Sam play.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, just watching other people play in general. There's tons of videos of people playing it on YouTube.
Yeah,
on
YouTube.
The thing,
it's more entertaining than
Grant
Superman 3.
Yeah, it is. I love watching like people that have no idea, like PewDiePie. For anyone that goes on YouTube at all, you probably know who PewDiePie is. For those of you that don't, he's like a Swedish video game blogger, and he's like one of the biggest names on YouTube.
Makes over like $2 million a month.
Yeah. But he goes into this game like he's just like, people suggested that I play this game. I've never heard of it, but okay, let's play it. And like, I think that's the best reactions that you get from, people that don't know what they're playing. They just start playing it. And like,
I will
he's
admit,
drained like 50% of his power by the end of the phone call, and he's like, oh god, oh god, oh god. And he's, like I said, he's Swedish, so he's got an accent, and there's one part where he like gets so freaked out that he actually like just blurts out, I think it's Swedish, I might be wrong, he might not be Swedish.
Yeah.
Okay, he blurts out something in his native tongue. I assume it's Swedish, but who knows. I don't know anything about Sweden. But he has the subtitle there to to translate it to English, and it's dick in the vagina or something like that.
No, I think it's vagina in the dick.
That's right, yeah, because it made no physical sense. Yeah, it was just like vagina in the dick. That scared me so much, and I sat there like, huh, what? And my mom was like sitting right next to me, and she's like, what did he just yell? Because all she heard was Swedish. She didn't see the subtitles, and I was like, I don't know. Harry Dick.
I will say it probably is a scarier game if you don't know the mechanics. Like if you don't know that you shouldn't put your camera up after the door jams, then
that was something that we found out. If the door jams and you put your camera up, basically you're fucked.
Because as soon as you take it down, they're right there and they kill you.
I think it's that's when the fox gets you, right?
No, Fox gets you. Fox just randomly.
Oh yeah, no,
charges.
but one of them will be there.
The bunny will come in from the left, and the chicken will come in from the right, depending on which door jams.
Yeah.
And then they'll just fuck you up. And then Freddy, who's there on night 5 and killed me on night 5, he tries to get the guys to jam the door, and then he'll just finish you off.
And Freddy is also the one that kills you if you run out of power.
Yes. There, man, I can.
And that's I think that's probably the creepiest one because it's slow. It's a slow kill
Remember,
because he just sits there and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
You can see him
15 seconds. I'm just staring at you, and then like it cuts to black, and then you
can hear like footsteps and stuff.
Well, remember when John ran out of power?
Yeah,
and it was night 5.
I'll post that video too.
Yeah. That was like we won the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he runs out of power, and then we're like, oh god, there's Freddy, and then it like clicks from 5 to 6, and it like has this big splash page
you hear
to
little
click.
Children laugh.
Yeah, but we're like, oh yeah, fucking right.
And I'll never forget John, like, when it happened, we're, like, cheering, like, yeah, John! And John swivels in his chair with his hands like, please, of course I fucking beat this game.
Everyone knew.
I had just challenged him, too. That's the entire reason he sat back down for 2 rounds in a row of night 5.
Yeah, he's like, I can't let Sam last longer than me.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I lasted like an hour or 2 longer than you did. He just hits enter.
Immediately hits enter. 'Cause we were done playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good. Other than, I mean, that was I guess one of the big things from this past week for me. Me and Jake went to Baltimore Comic-Con this weekend. Though Jake,
nerds,
you worked the.
I did. I worked Friday because this was the first time it was 3 days.
That's right, and in the bigger convention space.
Yeah,
too.
it was great. I mean, our booth was the biggest booth, I believe, at the con, and we had really great spot too. And we were next to all kinds of great writers and artists and everything. And it's funny, my parents came up to see what it was all about. They'd never been to a con before. My dad has become somewhat of a born-again comic fan, or more. I was going to say just Green Arrow, but he likes Judge Dredd a lot, too.
He's an enthusiast.
He is. He's getting there, which is cool. In a million years, I never would have thought that would happen. And so I got 30, 40 minutes to be able to walk around with them and kind of just, see for myself and show them kind of what's going on and maybe have them meet an artist or two or a writer. And we were walking around Artist Alley, and we see Greg Capullo's desk or his booth, and there's no line. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, everyone has been coming to me earlier and saying, like, you have to get in line. It was like an hour. It was the biggest line at the con so far. And I'm like, oh, it's because he's not there. Like, there's people around, but it's not Greg Capullo. So my dad walks up to, like, look at a sketchbook or to see, kind of what's going on, because I he doesn't know him. Doesn't know what he looks like or anything, and he just knows that he's the artist of Batman, and he knows how like big of a deal it is. So I kind of turn my back, start walking away, and I'm near my mom, about 5-6 feet away from the actual booth. My dad's looking through, and he's like, "Oh, we'll have to see if he comes back later." And I hear a voice, very thick New York voice, go, "Oh, I'm just doing a panel. I'll be real quick. I'll be right back." And I turn around. I was like, I know that voice from fucking Family. That's Greg Capullo. And I turn around, and he's talking to my dad, and my dad doesn't know what he looks like. He just thinks he's a guy, just a
he's
guy.
a really jacked guy with
Just
a
really
handlebar mustache.
Yeah, and a hat on. And he looks, and he goes, "Oh, are you
Tom Hardy?"
He goes, "Are you and he goes, "Yeah, I'm Greg Capullo. Who are you?" And then my dad goes, "Well, I'm Greg," because my dad's name is Greg. And he goes, "You're Greg?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm Greg." Oh, they start like laughing, and they're shaking hands. And I turn around as I see my dad and the fucking artist on Batman shaking hands, laughing hysterically. Their names are both Greg, and they have a Greg off. And then
that'd be like if I met Christopher Nolan.
Exactly. And so my dad walks up to me afterwards. Like, I just imagine like that scene in a movie where like there's an explosion, you walk out really slow from the explosion, and you just like say a badass line and then keep walking. My dad just walks up to me and goes, "That was Greg Capullo." And he just walks by me, and I was like, I know, but holy crap. And so I even tweeted Greg Capullo later. I was like, dude, thanks for like, making my dad's day and like having the ultimate Greg off, like meeting this other guy named Greg. And he favored it, which is funny because like,
nice.
But yeah, that was the funniest thing I've ever. Like I was telling people were probably getting tired of hearing it because I was telling everybody, like even people who were coming to the thing. I was like, "Oh, my dad had a Greg off of Greg Capullo. It was hilarious." Just because my dad going from not knowing anything about comic books to like coming up to the con, or even buying a ticket or entertaining the idea, and then meeting him, meeting another Greg in the Greg Club.
Yeah.
And they kind of grew up around the same area. I mean, my dad was Jersey, but he was New York. But so they had that same whole kind of thing.
I think he's from Schenectady.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and so that was pretty hilarious. And he also met Dwayne Straczynski, who's the American writer of Dredd, and that was really funny too. And I got a picture. So I didn't really do much. I didn't really get anything. I think I got one thing signed, a Silver Surfer variant that Francavilla did.
Yeah, Francesco Francavilla.
And but yeah, I mean, it was the first time I've ever worked at a con, and I got to say, like, I was kind of going into it and like not looking forward to it.
Sure.
But I loved working it. Like, it was so much fun. Granted, it was probably the slowest day out of the 3.
Well, and honestly, I was surprised how not busy it was on Saturday. The day I was there.
Yeah, I remember talking to some people because I only worked at the booth on Friday, and then just worked at the shop Saturday and Sunday. But it was cool because we had some stuff that statues that weren't priced, and if getting rid of statues can be difficult, and so it was more of like, hey, see if you can give me an offer and see what we can do. So I felt like it was like Pawn Stars for some of it. Like, hey, what do you got? Like, I had like the money in my pocket. Like, give me an offer. What do we got? Okay, and then you going back and forth. I remember like going back and forth with this like 10-year-old kid about a Batgirl statue, which he didn't buy. Well, I mean, I just think it was too much. But
twerp.
yeah. But
how dare you not have $300 to blow?
no, it was like
the
I think it was there was a bad paint job on the statue, which is like it was like a blue dot on the tip of Harley Quinn's nose. So it was like $80, and the lowest we were going to go was 70. I mean, it did get bought, but it bought with somebody else. I mean, I hope the kid had a great time at the con stuff. But at one point,
ruined his experience.
Yeah. But the announcements are really funny. Like they would go over the announcement. And like at one point, this isn't funny, but like a kid got like separated from his mom, and so like they were like
hilarious.
They were like Johnny. Like it was a female voice, but they were and she was the same voice the entire con. It was like very like not robotic, but it was a very kind of just normal kind of comforting voice. She's like, Johnny, your mom's looking for you. Look for an orange shirted person who's like the staff, and then we'll get you in touch. But towards the con, like as the day was ending, they started like telling serious like kind of literally like, ladies and gentlemen of Baltimore Comic-Con, in 30 minutes, the con will be closing in 30 minutes. Hey, John. Hey, Bill. What's up, guys? All right, see you later. And, like, they'd be, like, talking to everyone else. And then I heard at the end, they were like, Alex Maleev, put your phone down. Stop texting and leave. You've been here for too long. Go have fun. But when they said, like, Johnny, your parents are looking for you, I could have sworn everybody in the con, including the talent, were like, ooh. Like, I could see, like, Mark Waid, like, signing someone's book, like, oh, you're in trouble now. Like,
Screws up on his drawing because he's
screws up drawing the Superman logo in Birthright, which he's done.
That's how he always signs Birthright. He always draws the Superman logo so perfectly, something I can't fucking
I know.
do.
This is like, and he's the writer of Superman, and he owns it. Well, because like last year, real quick, and I'll let Sam tell his stories about Baltimore. Last year, as a fan, I went, and that's when I got a lot of stuff signed, and I bought a lot of stuff, and it was fun. But it was just cool, just going again and working, and on the other side, and kind of being with the retailer stuff. It was a really fun, cool experience. And Baltimore for me, I think, I've only done Awesome Con, New York, and Baltimore, but for me, easily my favorite is Baltimore.
Baltimore's really good. It's between Baltimore and Emerald City and Seattle. Probably, I might have to give it to Baltimore, though.
Now, when you were in Seattle, was, like, Stephen Amell there?
I don't know if... Yes, I think he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always so bummed because, like...
As Arrow should be.
Yeah, exactly, right? The New York Comic-Con before we went last year, the whole cast of Arrow was there because they hadn't premiered yet. And
he's going to be there this...
Is he going to be this year in New York?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Kevin Conroy is going to be there, too. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, I only have a Thursday pass.
Don't worry, give me stuff. I'll get it signed.
Okay.
Because I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, Brandy said she might be able to get me like a pass or something, and I'll talk to Iggy.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
When is Stephen Amell going to be there?
Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You want me to get stuff signed by him, too?
Shit. I just wanted to, like, be
you
like,
have a
hey,
month
man,
in
what's up?
advance
Hang
if
out.
you need somebody to cover a shift.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm going up with John, so. But the stoic, legendary, long-legged John.
Oh, yeah. Please, of course I beat that game.
Hey,
Hey, he's like the Fonz of the group.
Of course
He never-
I beat Night 5 on
he
a
never
technicality.
tried Night 6, though.
Yeah.
I visited him yesterday. I was like, Night 6? And he's like, I haven't played the game since. And I was like, fuck.
But to see such a stoic man jump,
Fall out
and
of his
then
chair.
backflip out of a couch,
Literally
and shoot his
ass
beer.
backwards.
Yeah. Like somehow, he's.
But I mean, my Baltimore Comic-Con. This is the second Baltimore Comic-Con I've gone. Obviously, both times as fans because I don't work in the industry. But my favorite comic book writer might just be Mark Waid, the guy that wrote Superman Birthright. Kingdom Come is a huge book that he wrote. He wrote The Flash and Captain America when I was growing up. He really good run on the Fantastic Four. Right now, he's just like knocking it out of the park with Daredevil. And he's about to write a Princess Leia comic like next year.
He's the longest uninterrupted writer, artist, whatever on Daredevil ever. I remember him tweeting something about that.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Good for him.
Yeah. Me and him, like,
sure.
Last year, we talked about, we talked how much we both enjoy Superman Returns, and that sort of thing. This time around, so I'm, like, talking to him, and he's signing my books, and I was just like, so, Mark, I always have this debate with my friends when we get drunk, because we always debate about this kind of stuff when we get drunk. Who is the definitive Flash villain? Because if you think about it, Batman's got the Joker. Mm-hmm. Superman's got Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. Who is Spider-Man's definitive villain?
Green Goblin. Green Goblin.
It's between Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, or Venom.
I would say Green Goblin just because of what he's done to, like, Gwen Stacy And
Dr. Octopus switched minds with him for like a year.
yeah, but like, and he's also responsible for Captain Stacy's death, or inadvertently.
And
but I
the
think,
first
like,
one to unmask Spider-Man too.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
but
like
not
you
Spider-Man 1.
But yeah, I Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Venom. I think Venom for like, I don't want to sound like an old our generation, but like because he was a huge thing.
Especially on the animated series.
Yeah, I feel like Venom is one of my favorite villains, but I wouldn't put him up there as like Spider-Man's top villain. Like, I feel like that's just a cool villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never.
What I'm saying?
Nah, man. But
I'm gonna say Green Goblin.
I've never really liked Doc Ock, but I always feel like the couple Spider-Man's books that I've read where Doc Ock has ever had any kind of part in it, it's like the writers have always been like pushing, like especially like Peter's dialogue. It's like, oh, my biggest foe, Doc Ock. And also, he married Aunt May, or at least was
tried,
dating her for a while.
Engaged.
That's a pretty intense villain.
Yeah, but the legacy of the Osborns runs strong with like the villain. It's not just Norman.
Well, to kind of touch on like Green Goblin
also
killing Gwen Stacy to become Peter Parker's like definitive villain.
Also in the Ultimate Spider-Man comic books, Green Goblin is the one that kills Peter Parker.
True, also true. So I was like, so who's the definitive Flash villain? I was like, is it Captain Cold? Is it Gorilla Grodd?
Ugh.
Or is it Reverse Flash?
And he looked at you and he was like, "Fuck you, nerd."
He did. What the fuck are you doing here?
Is the Flash? I always get confused
Comic-Con
with Jeff Johns. Is the Flash Mark Waid's favorite, or is that Jeff Johns' favorite?
It's Jeff Johns' favorite, but
yeah, Jeff Johns was working on a Flash movie back before the Flash TV series of the early 90s.
It was supposed to be what followed Green Lantern if Green Lantern succeeded. Like, that was the next franchise. Because they were going to basically do it like Marvel Studios. It would be, instead of Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, it would be Green Lantern and the Flash. And then you work your way up to incorporating Superman and Batman. I'm always interested what the DC, superhero film franchise would have looked like if Green Lantern was a box office success. Like, how different their strategy would have been.
Yeah. That would be a question for Jeff Johns.
It would.
But yeah, so what was the
So
answer?
he stops signing and just kind of looks up and he's like, "That's a really good question." And like
because the Flash, they've always focused more on the fact that he has a rogues gallery.
Yeah,
as opposed to like villains.
Yeah, occasionally Grodd will show up and like fuck up Central City or Keystone City if it's Jay Garrick. And like it's all hands on deck when Grodd's up. But like you've got Captain Cold, who's like the de facto leader of the Rogues Gallery, and then Reverse Flash, who's quite literally Flash's opposite number.
I would say, and again, I'm not the biggest Flash expert by any means, but for what Reverse Flash has done to his life, I would go with him.
That's what Mark Waid said too.
Yeah.
He's like, Reverse
Flash,
especially
in like post-crisis continuity.
Well, pre-crisis too.
Yeah, I don't know about pre-crisis.
Well, me and what's his name? Me and Mark Waid were geeking over like Silver Age Flash for a bit, but like he was like, Reverse Flash is my favorite villain, but he took Iris, like Barry Allen, the Flash's wife, away from him, and he forced Barry Allen to kill him. So just based on like what he's done, I would have to say Reverse Flash, and I was just like, oh. You're right. And he's like, not my favorite. And I was like, yeah, my favorite. Honestly, my favorite's probably Captain Cold.
My favorite's the Trickster, but that's mostly because of Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Mine's Captain Cold because of like Super Friends, because he was always like part of the Legion of Doom, and it was just cool.
And now he's kind of a good guy.
He's on the Justice League now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then both times I've talked to Mark Waid, I feel like he almost expects like a photo, a handshake, or a high five, but there's always a large line for Mark Waid because he's quite a popular writer. And
popular writer.
And I was just like, okay, well, thanks, man.
Cool.
Cool.
Walk away.
Yeah, I leave him wanting more. I was just
until next year or New York.
Yeah, I was just like,
soon he's gonna start recognizing you and be like, oh, this fucking guy.
This
questions
guy.
Here.
Yeah, I ran into James Tinian the Fourth as well.
Oh yeah,
I didn't ask him a question this time.
Oh,
did you scream his name?
In reminiscing about James Tinian the Fourth. Yeah, now that he knows how to properly pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
I remember being like, actually, Sam, I heard his like assistant talking to him. it's not Tynan, it's Tinian. And you were like, oh my God, I've been yelling his name at him for like 3 years now. but I remember, what was it, AwesomeCon, or was it New York?
It's special edition New York.
When we went up to say hi to him, and like I was just like, oh hey, cool, I like Batman Eternal, what's up, we kind of look the same. If I went back to having just a goatee and like did like kind of like the emo kind of like
comb over almost, yeah.
and still had my thick rimmed glasses from when I was in high school, when I decided that would be a cool look for 6 months. Anyway, so James Tinian the Fourth, Sam walks up to him, and from my perspective, it was completely apropos of nothing. Like it just out of nowhere, he walks up, he's like, "Oh hey, by the way, what's your favorite horror movie, or what like horror movie franchise,
like,
or what's better, Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween?"
Well, no, yeah, for I was like, me and my buddy here, and I motioned to you, but you were talking to Nicole.
Yeah. I got sidetracked by one of my friends from when I used to live in New York. So I walked away right as you started this conversation.
Yeah. So also, you're hearing this from like on the sideline. So yeah, it could just look like I'm like, hey man,
it was like you walked up to him and like to me, it would have made sense if like he had written a Nightmare on Elm Street book or a Halloween book or like
any horror book. Any horror book, yeah.
I mean, granted, he does have The Woods, which is kind of a horror.
It's like science fiction.
Yeah.
Then he's got The Eighth Seal, which is definitely horror.
Yeah. Is that a sequel to The Seventh Seal?
Yes, yeah. Ingmar Bergman comes back from the dead. I turned to him and I'm just like, so me and my buddy have been having this debate. What's the better horror franchise? Because we had literally just had this debate.
Yeah, no, and then right about there is where I walked away.
Yeah. It's like, is it Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street? And he's like, well, if we're just counting it on like single, like the premiere entry, it's Halloween's the best of the first film.
Absolutely.
But if we're doing it like best film within any of those three franchises, I'm gonna have to say Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah, Dream Warriors.
Yeah,
or and I think he also said franchise in general was Nightmare on Elm Street as well, or at least I did. I said that.
I would go that far.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I think he said that, but then again, I was off talking.
I think we can all agree that Friday the 13th is the worst.
Yeah, out of those three, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
there's
Jason
worse.
Takes Manhattan is the greatest movie of all time. The best part is where he walks
Manhattan
down
for 10 minutes.
Well, he takes it in 10 minutes. The best part is when he kicks the boombox over
in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, and he turns around and shows them their face. Another thing, real quick about Baltimore is I've had this plan for a while now to have someone commission a piece where Black Bolt is sneezing or burping in the presence of the Hulk, and it's so powerful that it's blowing Bruce Banner out of the back of the Hulk. And I wasn't there Saturday, but my buddy Rob, like, I love Trad Moore's art, and I wanted to talk to Trad Moore, but he was getting back to his table, and I had to like go back to work. Told that idea to Trad Moore, I guess.
I was right there when he did. Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not going to do this right now because I want to take my time on it, but like email me the information and I will draw that for you. And I was like, yes.
I was right behind Rob, and he was like talking to him, and then I got my issue of Ghost Rider signed because he used to draw Ghost Rider, and we got to talking about like Luther Strode and video games and stuff because Trad Moore is right about our age, and
he's awesome. He
a lot of the same interests.
We saw him at
New York,
Baltimore last year, and New York, and he's the kind of guy that like there's no way he remembered us, but
he
like
almost bought me a drink.
But like he pretends like he's that nice guy, and it's never like where he's like there's like sometimes there's that invisible barrier of like you're the fan and I'm the even if they don't mean that, it feels like that. With him, that's never the case. It feels like what we're doing right now, just sitting around talking.
Yeah,
like,
him and James Tinian.
When I met James Tinian by myself, like solo, I feel like there was that thing, but that's because I was like, I just kind of like shook his hand and I was like, I look like you. And right there, I could see in his eye, he was like, oh God. Yeah, sure. No, I can totally see it. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh fuck, I didn't say that right at all. Like and like I didn't have you there to be like, oh hey, my friend here says that I look like you. Back 5 years ago when I thought a goatee looked cool on my face. Not to say that he,
some people can pull it off.
I'm making fun of myself for thinking that looked cool on me.
I've had unfortunate facial hair too.
Oof. There was a time where I was just the chin. Like it was goatee
I've done
without the nose.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. I had the Abraham Lincoln once.
Remember that one time I had the Amish?
Oh my god! Yes.
I had for a hot minute. I had mutton chop, sort of, that stopped right at like the bottom of my earlobes, and like just straight straight across, and like basically would have connected to my mustache if I had the mustache, but it was just those, and it basically looked like arrowheads. Nice. Pointing into my mouth. It was the dumbest thing. Like I look back at it, and then there was like a hot minute where I had that and the goatee.
How many times can Chris say a hot minute in 1 minute?
A hot amount. But so it was basically just like everything but my neck and the lower half of my cheeks.
Jesus.
And I was like I looked back and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. I actually allowed myself to be photographed with this facial hair.
I had the Phil Anselmo where it was just like the long sideburns all the way down to the side while wearing the Pantera like camo beanie all the time. And then I never did this like in public, but like in the college dorm.
Did you ever do the Lemmy?
I was just about to say yes. Well, I called the James Hetfield, but like
gotcha. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I did that where like it's like such an
everything
idiot
but the chin.
In college, yeah, where like I was shaving one night and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and like that was my thought process. So I just stopped, and for the night I like was like on the computer like doing work and like went to bed with the James Hetfield facial hair, basically a beard without the chin, like just like the front of the chin area. And I woke up the next morning and it was like I forgot it, and I was like, oh god, what the hell? Like unless you're in like a metal band, you look like a turd.
There have been plenty of times where laziness has dictated my
How lazy
hair.
do I have to be that I was like, I don't feel like shaving anymore? Like it's not like it's an hour. It's not like it's like a long.
You got your chin done, and
I got my chin done, and I was like, you know what? I just had like images of the Black Album. I was like, oh, most said their prayers. Actually, that's not the Black Album, but whatever.
No, it's not.
It's Justice, but he has that during Justice too. So
no, usually what happens to me is just like I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to shave, so I don't shave at all, and then like my neck gets really heavy, the tops of my cheeks get really heavy, and I have my 3-haired widow peak. Like I actually, all honesty, I shave my widow's peak because it's only 3 hairs, and I'm like, nope, it's like a very like a vague triangle. So. Nice. If you see a widow's peak, I know, sure. If you see a widow's peak on me, then that means I've been lazy.
I'm waiting
and not
for
shaving.
the T-shirt to come that's just
sure
with a period.
Would
it be in italic, bold italic, or just
no?
bold?
It would be in Courier New, with a period at the end of it. Sure. Or maybe ellipses before it and no a full stop at the end. Just the ellipses before it. Sure. Or S in dash U in dash R in dash E.
Maybe you could do a phonetic Schwarzenegger.
Sure. S H O dash
Sure.
WA Sure.
No. I think it would be UH at the end. Sure.
Well, on that note, I think we should end this week's episode.
Sure.
That's a reference to True Lies.
Yeah, go watch it.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Daddy will catch you.
Dana.
Jump, Dana.
So this
first theatrical appearance of Eliza Dushku.
I always love that last name.
Yeah,
Dushku.
You would.
I totally. So this
Sam still likes girls.
Totally. The last. This been great. This has been fucking awesome.
It's been fun.
Thank you for tuning in for another installment of Catching Up with Chris, Jake, and Sam. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you fuck!
Good night, Eric Bana.
Fuck you!
That was a really loud fuck you. Well, you heard it. You know.
Sure.